You for having me. Thanks for having me here today. I'm excited to chat and yeah, and keeping it informal. I decided not to put together a slide deck although if you want to see pictures of my cute dogs, I could open up some that and show you those. Almost always in my presentations I feature pictures of my dogs because they're so cute and it's also a shameless hook because it helps people kind of engage in the presentation too. So yeah, hope this becomes more of a conversation than me just talking. And I want to share about like the different programs and services that Seattle Public Library is doing to support entrepreneurs and nonprofits in Seattle area and beyond too. So um, yeah, so I guess maybe I'll start by just sharing a little bit about me and I think I'm probably not alone here that I I came to libraries because I had a passion for books and reading and not so much business that wasn't on my radar when I first started the journey to become a librarian. But my first job out of grad school after I got the degree was at an accounting firm. So there weren't positions at the library at that moment in time, and so there was one at an accounting firm, and I thought, well, I wonder what this will be like, and so I worked for about 3 months at this pretty large local accounting firm. And I learned some skills about researching markets and industries and businesses from those that were in the little information group there. I also learned that I did want to, I did want the library job, and guess what? 3 months in, that became available in the business department. So I had the skills to be able to talk about that in my interview, and so I started down that path. And I got to work alongside librarians who had been doing this work, supporting businesses in Seattle for 30 years before me, and they shared their wealth of knowledge about how they did the work. And we're talking like literally still card catalogs, flat files and vertical files and things. And then, I also quickly was able to translate some of those skill sets into digital tools that Seattle Public Library was already buying. So that's kind of how I kind of got into this, and I've never looked back. Like I love the work and enjoy it, and probably many of you might have similar stories to share too. Um, so today, I wanted to make sure I shared about, how, so that was probably about, I started at the library in 2008. And, we kind of continued on this journey at the library, at the Seattle Public Library of really being place-based. People would come to the traditional reference desk and line up and get their questions answered and things, which they can still do today. But I realized that most of our entrepreneurs, they wanted to work differently. Like they wanted time with us, and they wanted things. So we embarked on this journey of rebranding, rebuilding, building toolkits and building a team that wasn't necessarily at one location, but was intentionally all across our city. So, today I have a team of 10 team members who are in different parts of Seattle. And that's working really well because then they're on the ground and making local connections with partners in neighborhoods that I'm not making, and I'm able to share the relationships that I'm building with partners across the city too. And they too that didn't come into libraries with business in mind, so they needed each of them has needed training as they go, and that's something that I've found myself developing is like ways to share our skill set and ways to help onboard new team members when inevitably somebody leaves the team, leaves the library, and we bring somebody else onto the team. So there's a 3 hour kind of in-depth workshop that I do with people that I call business concepts, that helps orient them. And it, it too, I hope, is kind of more of a conversation where there's talking points that I want to make sure they get some of the terms, some of the like key partners and relationships that we're working with. And but then sometimes we go really fast through that. Sometimes we dive deeper. It's really custom based on their needs and who they are with their backgrounds and things like that too. So so that's a little bit about the kind of the history of things. Did I spark any questions? Anybody have any questions or comments to add or anything? Something similar that you're doing? It's okay if not too. So so we can change. Well, let me. You might have a question about kind of support and like how we're structured and things too. That might be a good thing to talk about. Um, so a lot of our team members, like probably at many libraries across the nation, they're wearing different hats, and so they're working, in on a desk, for 85 to 90% of their time, and then they're, on my project and team, for 15%, 10% of their time, depends on the different in each individual, and how they're what other things they're doing as well too. So we end up having folks that are spending different times of their day and different times working on things. Everybody on the team, a goal is for them to be able to have one-to-one appointments with us as the experts, as market researchers. So that's a goal that we work towards with each new team member, and those work really well because it's a way that uh, we can share about the market research resources that we have, or sometimes it's ways that we can share how to use census data or other kinds of whatever the data source might be, but it's a place for us to have that conversation and to help. Steve, did you have a question? Thought maybe you came off mute there a moment. Okay. Um, so we have, each team members, is working towards these business information appointments is what we call them. We that was, quite a build that we had to build that. There's a it's not as easy as, as just going, ahead. We had to like negotiate their time. We had to set up where do they hold that physically at the library. And so there's how do people schedule their time with the librarians? And so that's been a journey in and of itself, is just figuring out all the kind of logistics in the background there with those appointments. We actually during COVID is when we really hit our stride with these appointments. We used to have people just call us up, and we had an Excel spreadsheet in the background with people's available times, and then we would book people into the appointments. But then during COVID, that wasn't gonna be possible anymore. Like there wasn't that, so we needed to do these virtually. So we at the same time as we sort of launched those virtually, we found a space on our website and built a tool to have a calendar available for people to book our time. And the calendaring tool that we use isn't perfect, but it's basically the same tool that we use for our other events that happen at the library. But we just set the registration limit to one, and so it's basically we just create a new event for each of those sessions, and then the tool does have some automation in that it kind of puts those into a calendar in and of itself, so it's not kind of clogging up our whole other event calendar with like each and every, there's hundreds of them. And so they flow into their own calendar. And that's been an amazing way that we work. It's a little onerous to in how we had to figure it out and how we built the tool and setting them each of those up. But now we kind of have a rhythm with it, and we're able to add literally hundreds of them each year, where people can meet with the librarian. And most of the time we still meet with folks virtually, because we it seems like that's how people continue to want to work with us with those appointments. So we built those appointments, and uh, then another thing that we have been doing, that I think you might be interested in, is our legal consults. So those had a similar journey, a similar timeline, and a similar journey where we had a partnership with our uh, local law school, the University of Washington Law, and we had an agreement with them where their students would come to the library, well, about once a month, maybe a little bit more than once a month, and they would teach a class on what they had just learned. So it was brilliant because they needed experience talking in front of a group about legal concepts like corporate law, LLCs, and things like this. And we had an audience of people who wanted to learn about that. And so they would come to the library, and they would teach this class, and it was beautiful. But then during COVID, they we had to cancel all those because they were all in-person things, and we were moving into that virtual space. At the same time, I was getting a lot of questions from community that were kind of more complex questions about the implications of what was happening and things. And so I had a conversation with our partner at the law school. And I said, we really want, we were talking about how do we move these online and so we can help people. And we realized that her students were going to have a hard time because they didn't have the experience to answer these kind of questions. But she had a whole pool of, all these attorneys who wanted to volunteer their time, and they would be interested. So we embarked on these legal consults, which we do today. So just like we have librarians who are experts in research, in marketing, market research, now we have also experts in legal topics, who people can book time with half an hour at a time, and they so it's beautiful because uh, those who are coming to the appointments are just thrilled at what they get from these 30-minute sessions with the attorneys. The attorneys themselves are thrilled because they have to do pro bono work to keep their part of the bar, and or keep with the yeah, I think it's the bar. But anyway, they have to do a certain number of pro bono hours, and they're experts in trademark and patent and things like this. And there aren't a lot of pro bono type events where they can stay in their lane and do that. So they otherwise would have to go and volunteer at another pro bono service and talk to people about a divorce or something that they're not as experienced and not comfortable doing. So they love having this opportunity to volunteer with us. So it's really just grown and grown and grown. At this moment, I can't add enough sessions to fill the demand. Like people keep coming to them, whether and they must be just waiting on our website because I'll put them out there, and literally, I'll have 8 sessions that I'll drop, and overnight, all 8 sessions are booked, and then each of them has 2 wait lists, and over the next 48 hours, all those wait lists will be full, and so it's quite amazing what happens with those. Um, and Yeah, it's been fun. There's a lot of kind of those are all virtual. That's the other thing that the attorneys like about those is that they can they can volunteer from their office for 2 hours, and so they'll log into the Zoom, And we do our best to try to fill all the sessions, in the moment too, because life happens and people don't show up for the appointment. Maybe they forgot or something. So, we do a lot of kind of in the moment at the beginning of the appointment, calling on people on the phone, emailing them, making sure that they have the right Zoom link and all those kinds of things. And so there's a lot of kind of busy work that happens to fill the appointments. But and we get a certain percentage of people who just forgot, and then they log in within 3 minutes, and all is good. And so, but it increases our rate of people who shows up for each of those. So, I should say scope of service. The attorneys, and we share at the very beginning a little disclaimer with at the beginning of each session because they're one-on-one time with the attorney. Like these don't form an attorney-client relationship, but we encourage you to reach out if you so they can't do work for them, but they can answer these nuanced questions that people have, and that's what I found that that's what's brilliant about those is that people have nuanced questions about LLCs. They have nuanced questions about patents, especially trademarks and things. And they can get those questions answered. If they need more help at the end, my colleague Ross and I, or some of my other colleagues, we're usually in the main Zoom room as they walk in. So we people arrive in the main Zoom, and then we have breakout sessions where the attorneys are, so that they can come back out, talk to us. We'll share about like King County Bar Association's lawyer referral program, where they do a little matchmaking for folks and things. And so it's a so we help people with that next step if they do need to go and hire somebody, or maybe they need a NOLO guide or something that we probably have on the shelf. And so there's a lot of ways that we can kind of add more value even if they need it. And other times we just are there to and they thank us and they're on their way. Um, so I'll pause for a moment if there's questions about like legal consults, how we built those, thing about.
I have a question. You said
Yeah.
that the lawyers came from the USPTO, but it's not just patent and trademark questions. It's any sort of business question. Is that right?
Yeah, good question. We kind of have almost we sort of advertised a couple flavors, so to speak, of law. Like one is the intellectual property, so it's
Hmm.
patents, trademark. Because we found that lawyers they love to specialize. So
Right.
we have kind of one thing for IP law. And then we have a corporate law session where people can talk about LLC or contract law, those kinds of
Hmm.
things. We've tried a couple of others. We tried employment law, but for some reason those weren't as popular. So we had trouble filling the sessions. We've also tried real estate law is another one, and we were able to fill the sessions, but it was kind of hard for the lawyers to stay in the scope of service with that one because so much of the law about real estate is in the contract. It's either in the contract or it's not. So how do
Hmm.
you kind of give it, how do you step around, and forming an attorney-client relationship by giving legal advice, if you can't really like
Hmm.
weigh in on the contract kind of thing. But we've had some that have done a really good job of doing that and being able to kind of navigate it. But yeah, we
Hmm.
got kind of some couple of different types that we have there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're actually also just embarking on, like next week, we're embarking on a brand new experiment with a new organization called Leggett Services. And Leggett, they focus on business formation specifically, so would fall within the corporate law, but we're engaging them and to see if we can just kind of even back up from corporate law just to be business formation and licensing. So we'll see where that goes with that organization over the next 2 months. Hey, Jana, go ahead. Did you have a question?
Yeah, thank you. We get a lot of questions from brand new business owners who would like to have contracts. Have you ever offered a class or a workshop specifically on contracts and one that would offer some type of contract template?
Good
And
question.
if so, where did you find those people?
I haven't specifically on contracts. We've no, I'll back up. I think one of at least one of the those sessions we did with the uh, the law students did talk about building a contract. We had some contract law and contracting kind of things that came in as part of that. Um, uh, so we did a few of them, but we haven't since. Nolo has some interesting kind of like pre-done kind of contracting things, and those are pretty general though. So yeah, I haven't had that particular one. I think our local score office though has they I think they do. I've seen contracting, and contracts come across there too.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let's see. Any other questions about like the legal consults? Well, I'll share then, that kind of we've one interesting thing that ever since we started down that path of offering those, the like literally hundreds of sessions with legal experts, my mind's been kicking in of like, well, what else could we do? What other kinds of topics can we help out with? And so one of those that we have embarked or we've been successful with is uh, personal and business credit consultations. And so in those cases, we actually hire an expert who then usually we do a class so that she teaches a class so that people can kind of learn the topics around personal and business credit. And then we offer the consults where she can go, give them a much more customized, detailed advice based on their situation on how to build their business credit or how to clean up their personal credit. Because we know that they can increase their chances for success in the business loan and other things if they got a better credit score also. And so we work with some wonderful presenter and facilitator named Tiara Bonds, who does those for us. And we've worked with a couple of other companies on that as well too. But Tiara does a lot of them. What I also love about working with Tiara and is that there's people often have come to those conversations, with baggage. Life has happened to bring them to that situation, where like someone has been sick, and they had, leveraged their credit to pay for things. So we hear these stories about, and Tiara, does such a good job of like not just counseling them on the credit, but also kind of building them up of like, you're doing a good thing here in doing this now. Like, good for you for doing this so that they can kind of put that behind them, and so I think that's another important part of it too. Yeah, thank you, Steve. Yeah, Ross and I are going to do a 7-minute talk about the legal consults at Entralib. So we're excited to do that. And Ross came to the library, to the Seattle Public Library from the law library, which is really cool because he's got a lot of experience with the topic as well too. So been fun working with him on those and building them up, and yeah, they're going really great. Uh, Well, let's see. I talked about those. I should also mention, so maybe I think this might be relevant here too. Of funding, like how, of course, and I kind of started to talk about funding, but, the library itself, a lot of, my time and my colleagues' time, we're funded by the library's regular budget, because, we're a city department. Um, but we have the Seattle Public Library Foundation goes out and raises money, and then they help kind of provide some funds to help programs like mine with entrepreneur and nonprofit support. So we get a budget that we get to work with. It's not a large budget each year but it's something, and so we're able to pay some presenters for things, and even pay for some staff time if we need extra staff time for some projects and things. So we get some money that way, and then we've also had a relationship with our local Office of Economic Development, which is the business support side of the city of Seattle, and they even though they're a city department as well as us, they've channeled some funds over to us to help support some of the legal consult work too. Because I had a conversation with one of their team members. She said, we're about to go pay somebody to do what you've already been doing. Why don't we just pay you? And I said, yeah, why don't you? So we embarked upon on a relationship, and that's been really helpful for us to be able to kind of build out some things there too. And that's part of how we're able to do the work with Leggett Business Services that we're embarking on, and we've had other things that we've worked on there as well. I saw. I'm going to back up because I saw a question about best avenues for community outreach. Maybe you had asked earlier on when I was talking, and I think the probably the best avenue that I've encountered over time really has been in partnerships with organizations, our local organizations that have cohorts of people who are going through a series of classes to learn how to do what they're doing. So like SCORE has some of that. We have another local organization called Business Impact Northwest. They have cohorts of people who go through, 10 to 15 people at a time, go through an 8-week course, and they get to learn along the way. And then I've built relationships with organizations like Business Impact Northwest, where we as librarians are one of the featured speakers at one of those 8 weeks, usually around the marketing time. So this morning, I opened up Zoom at about 10 o'clock this morning and gave a presentation to some folks that were in that going through that, and they tend to they come to the library afterward. Like I teach them how to use the tools, but then they come to the library afterwards, either virtually or in person, and then we work one-on-one with them to help them as they go, and that's been that builds up. It's like it's like 15 people, and then 15 more, and then 15 more, and over time we've really helped a lot of folks. And what I like about that is it's also like we're sort of showing our success in each of those, because each person walks away with customized, here's what I got from that session too. That helpful? Yeah, and I do other kinds of outreach where, like, we'll go to, there's a Washington State Biz Fair that happens. I'll talk to 100 people, standing behind a table. I'll go and present at whatever. I present at Biz Fair. I'll go present at other organizations when they have a speaking gig. And so I try to be, kind of make myself available. And then in those, I try to share how they can get that kind of customized help, as well as the databases. Like I do share how to use, at least give them enough information that they could have some success searching Data Axle or Simply Analytics or something like that, to get what they need. And so and then we follow through with customized help for those that come reach out. I'll also share that, workshops and such. Yeah, we too have mixed results in terms of like numbers of people that come. And that's okay. I've come to accept that for some things, we're getting higher numbers than others. We also, like, for some reason, like some branches we see, we have 27 branches across the city of Seattle. And so, some of those branches see higher numbers than others. The last 2 years, we've really focused a lot of our efforts in classes in Spanish language because we felt that there was more, we have other partners who do lots of programming in English. And so we've been fortunate to work with some partners who speak Spanish fluently and are excited to work with us. And so we've offered a lot of classes and things on specific topics like marketing or food-based business or things like this in Spanish. Uh, and that's been wonderful. Like you will see between 8 people and I've seen as many as 30 people in the last year in an in-person event that's in Spanish, and that the 30 people like room is full. There's no place to sit in that small branch meeting room, so that's definitely a success. Yeah, so. Do I have a MVP class workshop service that you get the best feedback from? What's your best class and workshop? Yeah, good question. I think over time, the one we've done the most has been something we call Your Business Start Smart. And that one, we started back in 2014 doing that with a presenter, and it continues to uh, draw lots of numbers, and he's since expand that from just Your Business Start Smart to one about that's more about uh like your inclination to be in business, more about like how to less about the tactical, here's how you do it, but more of the like, is this right for you, like yeah, mindset. That side of things. He does a really good job of doing that. He does those programs also for SCORE and for Business Impact for other folks, which I love. But he continues to do them at the library too. We've even recorded some of them. We have them online that he does. He's a franchise broker, so that's how his work works. So he also does one-on franchising so that people can demystify that for folks that are interested in that. Um, and yeah, the ones on the mindset and the should you be in business are some of our best numbers. Um, some of my favorite programs though are more drop-in kinds of sessions. So we've had some really good luck with small numbers of people who are coming. Really, the it's more like that one-to-one expert kind of thing where we're in the space. We also bring a lender into the space. Usually the lender has other expertise like marketing and things. And then we don't have any kind of agenda at all. We just say, this is a co-working kind of an event. Bring what you're working on, and then whoever's there, that drives what we do in that session. And if we see 3 people who all want to talk about market research, well, then we'll open up the screen on the big screen, and we'll demo some of those tools for them. But we might break out into small little, one to one, and Amanda, who has experience in marketing, will work with somebody, or somebody wants to talk with that lender about how do they prepare for a loan or something like that. And so those have been really fantastic. Um, let's see. Oh, I wanted to also mention this might be a different type of thing that but we've also been exploring, one other thing that that we do at the library is we convene conversations, and sometimes those are at an event itself, but other times they're more of a like behind the scenes convening of conversations between partnerships or between partners, between community members and partners and things. And that's been an interesting journey where we've had some been convening conversations and then seeing the beautiful results of those translating into services for people that weren't getting service before. And one of those is around what we're calling kind of ethical finance, where there's some barrier that to traditional finance, like paying interest, that is in the way for a community in our area. And so we've convened conversations between some of our local CDFIs and community members so that we can all learn, what works for the community, and then they can design and build the financing that does work for them and the specific underwriting that does work for them and things. And we've seen some really interesting and really beautiful success stories of how that have come as a result of those conversations, and more to come on those as well too. But that's been another kind of thing that we do. Those conversations, we have a place for them on our website where we kind of promote the idea, but we're not really, it's not really an event where we're just like trying to get lots of numbers. It's more we're specifically reaching out to community members, and in many cases, other bankers or local CDFIs who want to learn how to do this kind of thing themselves. And so that's really who the event is for, and community is there as well too, in the space. Let's see, what else am I going to cover here? I have one more topic, I guess. Does everybody else? I don't know how many others of you might also work with nonprofit organizations in your work, or if you're more for profit, or anybody do both kinds of things together? Okay, a couple of you. Um, yeah, and I don't know if you are seeing what I'm seeing, but the interest in nonprofit interest specifically in funding is spiking right now. Like, because there's a lot of change that's happening, and so we're seeing a real spike in increase in our interest in Foundation Directory Online, which is our best, database for that. And people are coming to us with questions about nonprofits. We're also just seeing folks that are forming nonprofits in higher numbers at the moment too, to maybe to fill a need, or maybe because they were laid off from a job and then they've had this passion project that they're embarking on or things. So that's another thing we do. And I think, there's some of those like legal consults, especially the corporate law ones, they can talk to folks about forming a 501(c)(3) in those sessions too. So there's some back and forth with those, that works. But then we also see specific interest, that doesn't really kind of cross the two, like grant writing and things that there are skill sets that people need to build. We've had some really good luck with working with Candid themselves, who provides the Foundation Directory to offer classes. They offer it's the easiest workshop you'll ever do. Put it on your website, uh, show up and talk for 5 minutes at the beginning, and then all these people, and then let the experts take it away. So those are really fantastic too. Yeah, uptick in social entrepreneurship, definitely. We're seeing that too. Like a lot of folks that are exploring that kind of thing too. And we have a lot of partners in the Seattle area that focus on different elements of the work. And so we're fortunate in that we have a lot of different organizations that can help in different ways. So we have one 501 Commons, which helps people customize, help with building out that nonprofit. Another one called Communities Rise that provides kind of more in-depth legal services, and then they have a lot of templates and things on various legal topics right that they built right, and they put them up for free right on their website and things. So we've gotten so we've got some tools that we can kind of share with those nonprofit organizations along the way too. Yeah. Well, let's see. What have I sparked any other questions from anyone? Nonprofits or one-on-one services or let me see. What's some of the other kind of big things that we've got going on? Um, oh, um, So right now we're a full speed ahead in the planning for an event that I love every year called Black-owned Business Excellence, and this is the sixth year, I think. Yeah, I think this is the sixth annual, and almost every year we go down the path of trying to have it at the library, but the group really needs to raise money, and so there's to pay for the event, and so that it becomes a ticketed event, and then it's hard for me to offer as a free or it's hard for us to partner. So I still am a partner, but we've had it at other locations around the city instead of at the library. But this might be the year where we actually do get to do it at the library and as a free event. But Black-owned Business Excellence is a wonderful symposium that happens on the 1st of February every year. And we work with the organization that are made up of uh, partners that we work with individually as well, like Tierra Bonds that I mentioned, and some of the other folks that are they're engaged in this work together, and they formed a nonprofit as part of that too. But Black on Business Excellence will have uh, a couple of panels of discussion. Then it's like a full day event with food and celebration. They give out $1,000 grant awards to people who get nominated for those awards every year. There's different categories. There's a youth category that's amazing, and that's an event that's top of mind right now because we're in the planning for that. And yeah, we support it as in a lot of different ways behind the scenes too. We help with the press release and stuff like that too, so that they and so love working on that. Um, since I mentioned youth, that's another one that I love too. There's this organization called Community Carrot that works exclusively with youth from lower income backgrounds in Seattle, and they give each of the participants $2,000 to start their business. And it's not like a pitch competition. They get that money but they have to spend it on their business. We call it Carrot Bucks. And I love this organization because they too have this 8-week program that they take those youth through. And I get to be one of the featured speakers at one of those events. So it's really really amazing to see that excitement and to work with these young people who are just super excited and engaged, and many of them truly are doing this program in lieu of going to college. They're embarking on their business venture instead. And what's been beautiful is, like, yes, we work with the youth and we work with all that, but we also work with that organization, which is themselves a nonprofit. So we help them learn about the foundation directory and things like that too.
What was the name of that organization again?
It's called Community Carrot is the name of it.
Community Carrot,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. And they're,
orange carrot.
yeah, exactly. It's a beautiful organization. Yeah.
And where do they get their funding from, or do they just apply for grants and cross their fingers?
Mostly grants. They started off as a subset of the local Y.
Mm.
So and then they kind of and the why was very helpful as they started, but they always the vision was to form their own nonprofit so they could kind of have more autonomy in things. So it's been fantastic, and many of those youth have come back, later to be speakers at some of my events, or one of those youth. He's one of my partners that works at our local WorkSource organization and things too. So it's fantastic.
Neat. Thank you.
Yeah. Do we work with the local school system? Not particular that particular one. I think they themselves have connections to the school system, so they kind of are they were good on that part of it. Um, but whenever they have a new cohort coming out, I try to work with my youth librarians to try to spread the word, that hey, there's this program that's there. If you want to get involved, they'll give you $2,000 to start that business you're thinking about. And we see music businesses that come out of that. We see fashion design, barbers and hairstylists and products and all kinds of interesting things that they bring to us with those. Really fun. Yeah, I think we're kind of getting to the end of the time now. Is there other things that you're thinking about that you want to bring up or questions?
Well, I have another question.
Yeah.
Um, how do you track outcomes, and if so, how do you do that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is the time of year where we where I'm writing a report to that foundation and things,
Hmm.
end of the year kind of things.
Me
Yeah,
too.
I track a lot of data that and really I've built those data tracking tools over myself over time for
Hmm.
my programs. Um, and some of those outcomes are easier to measure than others, because something I've tried to wrap my head around and is uh I don't have a good solution to this, but the change that we're really trying to quantify when it comes to the program itself, that change hasn't happened. When we have the program, it's 6 months or 2 years later that the
Hmm.
actual, like, did it work? Did it start?
Yeah.
Are they making money? Did they have employees? And so, so we're kind of in this weird place where we're trying to measure something that this change that is like further out. So that's what is harder to get around. One way I am able to do that is, through quotes and anecdotes because I do reach back out to folks and ask them for little testimonials and things. And that's when I learn, like, oh wow, they're in 30 stores. People do want gelato for dogs. And sometimes the partners themselves who are sharing about about that business, and that's how I learn, is that I'm on their list, and like, oh wow, we worked with her. So
Hmm.
that's what's fun.
Okay. It's a constant struggle, so I'm always interested in hearing what other people do.
Yeah. And I do kind of add up all those, here's how many consults we did, here's how many things, and we ask people to volunteer demographic information if they're willing
Hmm.
to, for the legal consults, and then I can share some parts of that, if or, income, those kinds of things also, and but not everyone, participates and volunteers, and that's fine. But we do those kinds of things. But I get the most out of the when I reach out to people and ask for quotes, because then usually I usually people are usually interested and want to be part of that too.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Jay, thank you so much. You covered a lot of ground here.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me, and I'll put my email on the chat too, so that if you have further questions about any of these things I talked about, I'm around. So.
Awesome. And Rosalind, I think Jen's post in the chat is for you. We calculate number of hours of research we do each month. We also look at the dollar value of reports we provide.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've set up a tracking system for myself so I can do the ULC business value calculator at the end of every fiscal year. Because
great.
that's a great tool for going to the library board and the city council and everybody else and saying, look what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Pay me more. With the pay me more never happens, but at least
But at least don't cut my budget.
yeah, but don't cut my budget. Exactly.
Yeah. And PLA has project outcome, and we put in some business questions in that a few years back from libraries.
Yeah, but it sunsetted, unfortunately, this summer.
Project outcome did?
Yeah.
They didn't tell
But
me
the
that.
nice thing is they provided all the questions
Hmm.
as like a
Okay.
PDF, and then you can set it up. I've set it up just in Microsoft Forms, which is basic, but it works. So I used
Okay.
Project Outcome for a long time, and I was sad when it went away.
Yeah, I did
Uh,
not realize that because yeah,
yeah,
we
it
had
did.
put some business questions in there after libraries built business, so you could build a
Mhm.
survey.
Hmm.
Well, the LBB surveys are also still available on the in the
Okay,
playbook.
good.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. Like, thanks so much, Jay. Come back in December. We'll do like an end of year roundtable for just to talk to one another and think about the year ahead and the year behind. Hard to believe we're at that point. Um, yeah, it's great to see everyone. Stay warm if that applies, and talk to you soon.